Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. Patch 11.15 finally got a release date, and we've been covering this update for quite a decent bit of time now, from all the different catch-up elements to content to all of the other features that you will be able to access with this build. We've been going over them in a pretty decent bit of detail, and they actually not only released the release date of when 11.15 is going to be coming out, but also a scheduled cadence for it, as not all of the content that we've been able to test out so far is going to be made available day one. In fact, the cadence for the content release is actually going to be quite different than what we've seen in the past. We knew things like Dastardly Duels in particular was going to be something that will be available at a later time, but I had no idea everything was going to be getting this much breathing room, from the new EXP buff as well as a reputation bonus that will be made available initially, as well as actual catch-up content and reward content such as Nightfall and the return of BFA Visions. Patch 11.15 is set to release on April 22nd, which is very, very soon. But I also do want to go over all of the other content that will be available, as well as when it will be available specifically, in case you're looking to come back for 11.15 to catch up some brand new characters and enjoy and partake in the Season 2, which has been actually surprisingly a lot more fun than Season 1, at least so far. As always, if you guys want to get more regular updates for future content updates for the War Within expansion, be sure to follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So I'm going to go over all of the new stuff that's coming out in the patch 11.15, but mostly in the order that they're going to show up, because all of the new updates and content is scheduled, with the first one launching immediately being the Winds of Mysterious Fortune, which used to be a buff that was active at the top right, but I think it's been disabled as of this moment because the PTR technically moved into like the second phase instead of the first phase. But the Winds of Mysterious Fortune is another leveling buff that is available for everybody to take advantage of and get a bunch of new characters caught up for this update, offering 20% more EXP between levels 10 to 79, which will stack up with all the other warband leveling buffs. As you level more characters to max level, you get to build up warband buff up to 25%, so this will stack up with 20% on top of it. That also stacks with other bonuses, like if you have yourself the BFA leveling potion that is available for lower levels, or any of the holiday events instead, those will also provide you with additional EXP that stacks up with the bonus. So it basically is going to be a pretty decent update for catching up new characters. This bonus, however, also comes with a variety of other additions, like a 200% additional rep with major factions of the Dragonflight expansion, like Dragon Scale Expedition, the Maruk Centaurs, the Iskara, Tuskar, the Voltrakan Accord, Loam Niffen, Dream Wardens, but also certain NPCs like Sibelian, Rathian, as well as the oddball faction of Combat Assembly, because all of those factions have a variety of different rewards that you can earn once you get high enough reputation with all of them. So it's going to be pretty massive for any of you that are still looking to catch up with any of the Dragonflight rewards, specifically faction-specific ones, whether it is for achievements, whether it is for specific cosmetic items that they have. During this buff, this will be the best time for you to go back to Dragonflight expansion, or better yet, level a brand new character through that expansion. War Within factions also gain a 100% additional rep bonus, but only certain factions. Mostly all of the original ones from Council of Dornogal, the Hollowfall Arathi, Assembly of the Deeps, as well as the General, Vizier, and Weaver as part of the Severed Threads. What's to note here, none of the Undermined factions, whether the Goblin cartels or the actual cartels of Undermined Renown, are affected by this buff, which is unfortunate. That would have made grinding through all of those reps much easier. Maybe they'll change it in the future. Would love to see it, but we're not going to be seeing that anytime soon. While this buff is active also, while adventuring your way through the Dragonflight and War Within zones specifically, players will have a chance to earn mysterious satchels when looting creatures or as a bonus reward from completing quests. These satchels will contain a variety of useful items, mostly potions that can grant you different bonuses for your stats, or even fun visual alterations, but also gear that fits your level range, and additional EXP potions that will further increase XP gains by 10%, which stacks together with the XP buff, resulting in a 30% additional bonus during the event. And apparently, based on the blue post, these XP potions are warbound items. They can be consumed either during the event, but will continue to be consumable after the event is over. So during the event, this might be a good idea for you to store up with as many of these potions as possible, and then use them whenever some kind of like a bonus world event or a holiday event overlaps. Let's say you decide to level future characters, maybe together with a Hollow's End, or maybe like a Darkman Fairy XP buff, burn a potion together with that buff, get that leveling done even quicker. So it may be a good idea to stock up on as many of those potions as possible. Because this event and satchels drop only within Dragonflight and War Within zones, it does mean when leveling new characters, you may want to plan on potentially leveling through the Dragonflight zones, specifically when it comes to trying to get some brand new characters up and running. So there's a good chance that on this channel, I'll be doing some guides on fast leveling and how to quickly get characters up and running while leveling through the Dragonflight zones. So be sure to subscribe for those if that's what you're looking for. This buff and the potions will start to drop starting April 22nd, but the event will only last until May 20th, so you will have a limited window to maximize some alt catch-up bonuses and collect as many potions as possible for any future characters you may potentially level at some point in the future, but this is definitely going to be one of those buffs to take advantage of. As for the content launching on the day of this patch, April 22nd, the Nightfall scenario is going to be made publicly available. You'll be able to gain access to a brand new faction of the Arathi called Flames of Radiance. And from this faction, you'll be able to get not only cosmetic bonuses, but also mounts, pets, toys, and even gear. Unique gear from the event itself. Whether you look at the Flames Radiance like Ivory and Dark Arathi sets, or even the Void sets of Arathi, which look absolutely amazing. Getting through the round itself is also won't be difficult. It only got 10 levels, so it's not really difficult to get through all the way, to get all the titles, to get all the mounts and all the other cosmetics and rewards. But it will give you something else to work towards during this new update. With that, you also get a new scenario, a public event rather, in the Hollowfall area called the Nightfall, which essentially has you fighting alongside with the Arathi against the forces of Ashkahet. Not the forces that we've allied ourselves during Nerevar Palace, but the leftover forces that were still loyal to the original queen that we slayed in the original raid. And this will be a public event that many players can join in on, helping Arathi fighting off and driving away the Ashkahet forces, and even fighting bosses at the end of the final push that awards you a variety of rewards, from gear to other cosmetics and more. Outside of this, there also will be smaller strikes to join in throughout Hollowfall and Ashkahet, usually with a weekly quest that awards you with additional gear that is warbound for any of your old characters, a variety of different cosmetics, and even a mount that drops from some of these smaller strikes and events. There will also be 2 gear vendors with lots of unique items, but that even have some unique damaging bonuses, like Voidy, Hollowfall, Arathi Shadow gear and weapons that will have additional shadow effects and even stat increases, but also the Flames Radiance weapons and trinkets that come with a variety of unique bonuses. And the Nightfall scenario will be made available immediately with the launch of 11.15. Another feature that will be made immediately available is the cooldown manager, which you'll find in the options window, advanced options, and you can just immediately enable cooldown manager. And the cooldown manager functions very similarly to weak auras, letting your character control a variety of different elements in order to give you more information regarding your character, variety of different procs, and even some passive bonuses. Essentially, what this feature allows you to do is to add additional information on the screen if you need it. And when it comes to playing classes optimally, many players go for things like weak auras in order to have an easier time tracking certain specific procs, which now track buffs can do, in order to maybe clean up UI but only have the visibility of some of your major utility cooldowns or major combat cooldowns, which the UI can also take care of as well. And changes like these can help you achieve some really functional yet minimalist look for your UI, allowing you to keep a track of all of your major abilities as well as their cooldowns, allowing you to keep track of a variety of different procs that your character may need to play into in order to play your class as effectively as possible, and allow you to shift a lot of the focus towards the center of your screen where it's a lot easier to track these instead of, looking at the top right where all these buffs may be available. So it just gives you so many different options as to how you might be able to play your class going forward. There's a lot of things to be added here, and I'm sure the players will come up with a variety of different profiles that will have an easier time tracking all this extra additional information if that's what you're looking for. But definitely this is going to give you quite a bit extra info to work with and quite a lot of customizability on top of it as well. Now let's go over some of the returning content that will be making a comeback in 11.15, which is Horrific Visions, which won't be made available immediately. They actually will be made available during May 20th, so at the end of that big catch-up week bonus. Similar to Visions back in BFA, these are going to be the same Visions you remember, though with all the enemies scaled up to our level, some additional challenges through the mask system, but also a ton of new rewards to collect. Over the past few weeks, we've covered Visions quite a bit, but if you've never done it back in BFA and this will be your first time interacting with it, essentially you go into this twisted reality of Strowman or Orgrimmar as if N'Zoth won and took over Azeroth. And your goal is to enter Visions and delve deeper and deeper, but the deeper you go, the more damage it does to your sanity, a bar that you have to manage within Visions. Some enemies in particular don't even hurt your health by that much, but if your sanity drains, that's it, the run is over. And the whole point is to go into a vision, do as much as you can, complete as many objectives as possible, and then exit it with your sanity remaining. Then use currency obtained from visions to get upgrades so you can spend more time in the vision, and then you can get things like masks, which are like extra difficulties, or affixes for vision that give you more rewards at the end of the run, but make the runs a little bit more challenging. And there's a variety of rewards to collect. We took a look at a bunch of them, from gear up to hero track item level, and even guaranteed weapons that you can purchase once you complete a certain difficulty of vision runs. There's a lot of new mounts to be added, but also old mounts as well, and even a vendor that allows you to convert the unique vision currency to purchase cosmetics, from back pieces, armor sets if you want to go for a full N'Zothian look. There's a cloth, leather, mail, and a plate set, and a bunch of other cool new items, but also old returning rewards as well, just from doing vision runs. It's a fun bit of content that also adds this mechanic of corruptions, which was a way we would upgrade our gear and enchant it, quote unquote, through corruptions in BFA. Though this corruption is definitely not as strong as the BFA version, it is going to provide a damage spike for all of your characters. Now the last piece of content, which we got to do very little testing over on the PTR, is called Dastardly Duos. And the event is kind of like a boss rush mode. You go into this dome to slay a bunch of enemies and also earn as many points as possible. And as you slay enemies, eventually bosses start to spawn. Some of the more familiar bosses from older expansion dungeons, primarily Cataclysm for the most part, at least when we got to do some testing over on the PTR. So you get to dive into the dome either with a group of friends or in a solo group with NPC companions, very similar to the dungeon followers that you get for follower dungeons. And in there, you just get to fight a bunch of bosses, get as many points as possible, and unlock combos from consumables through different foods that you can get before the actual run. And then you get to fight these bosses where mechanics of these bosses happen simultaneously at the same time. Dastardly Duos rewards you with a variety of different rewards every single week for 6 weeks, from things like toys, like banners, as well as these podiums where if, let's say, players click the podiums, they'll actually show you your score and line you up from first to last. So however much score you're being able to earn in Dastardly Duos, you'll be able to have some bragging rights for it, for instance. But then there's also a mount, which I think is going to be a reward at the end of the run. There's also other rewards that you can unlock through the achievements that you can gain from the event itself, but also a little bit of catch-up gear from some of those older dungeons. We got very limited testing of this event over on the PTR, but it seemed like a decent bit of fun for a short bit of gain. It is going to be what seems like a very limited time event, however, and we're not going to be seeing this one for quite a decent bit of time. But with that being said, as always, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give it a like. I would very much appreciated. Join our Discord community if you want to keep up with all the regular updates regarding future patches for the War Within expansion. And as always, let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in the next one.